Hey guys, welcome to EduTap. I hope each of you is happy, healthy and fine, taking very good care of yourself. I am your mentor Vivad. And guys, this is the 7th video on our newly launched series focusing on the government schemes. So without wasting any time guys, let's get started. But before starting our today's video guys, let me bring you the smiling point of EduTap, that is our results. You can check out the results of 2019 as well as 18 guys. These are the excellent results that we have produced over the years due to the dedication and hard work of our students, complemented with the quality of material that we are providing. So guys, now it's time to start our lecture number 26. Guys, don't get confused with the number 26. This is the lecture, this is the video number 7 that we are starting today. Lecture number 26 will be in the playlist of our YouTube channel. Guys, earlier Ritika ma'am used to take this government schemes and she has covered till the government schemes from lecture number 1 to 19, and I started taking it from the lecture number 20. So today's lecture is lecture number 26. And the scheme that we're going to start today is very important and recently launched scheme, that is Vivad se Vishwas scheme. Guys, this is an important scheme because it is a newly launched scheme. So guys, the two terms mentioned here are dispute as well as trust. So this slides mention about the two important terms regarding Vivad se Vishwas scheme, that is, one is the dispute and the other one is the trust. So dispute and trust between whom? That is the taxpayer authorities and the taxpayers. We want to reduce the number of disputes between them and wants to increase the trust between the two by the Vivad se Vishwas scheme. So this scheme is trying to bridge the gap between the dispute and the trust between the taxpayer and the tax authorities. So guys, that is about the gist of the scheme. Now let us come to the introduction. But before starting the introduction, let me give you a brief background of a similar scheme so that you can relate the scheme in a much better way. Guys, last year Sabka Vishwas scheme was launched in regard to indirect taxes. Guys, hope you understand what do you mean by direct as well as indirect tax. Indirect tax is the tax in which the impact as well as incidence of the tax are on different people. Suppose you are buying some product and you are paying tax on that. So you are paying the seller of the good the total amount, and it's the responsibility of the seller of the good to submit the tax to the government authorities. So the incidence as well as the impact of the tax are on the different people. So this is known as indirect tax. So this scheme was mostly focusing on the indirect tax. Through this scheme, guys, government was expecting a revenue of 40,000 crores by settling the disputes. But when the final deadline comes, the government settled amount equivalent to almost 90,000 crores under this Vivad se Vishwas scheme. So this is the relevance that these kind of schemes can bring in. And they have settled disputes almost equivalent to 1.9 lakh cases. So this is due to these facts, guys, that the amount the government has received and the number of disputes that they have settled, this year government has launched Vivad se Vishwas scheme in regard to direct taxes. Okay, one second, I think there is a problem. Yeah, Sabka Vishwas scheme was for indirect, but this Vivad se Vishwas is for the direct tax, guys. Now guys, before launching this Vivad se Vishwas scheme, there was some facts that has been released by the finance ministry that 4.83 lakh cases are pending in regard to direct tax. Direct tax, again I want to tell you that direct taxes are the taxes in which the impact as well as the incidence are on the same person. Suppose you are getting the income, so it's your responsibility to pay the tax to the government. So this is what direct tax means. So these are the numbers of the direct tax disputes that are pending, and this involves an amount of almost 9 lakh crore. You can see the amount involved regarding these pendencies and the revenue that the government is losing because of these pending cases. So this is the purpose behind launching the direct tax Vivad se Vishwas bill 2020. So guys, this bill was introduced in the month of Feb 2020 as a money bill. I hope you understand what do you mean by a money bill. Money bill is, guys, introduced in the Lok Sabha by the government, and Rajya Sabha has no say, and they have to pass the bill within 14 days, and after that they will get the assent by the president. So this is a gist about the money bill, though there are little finer more details are there which you can refer, but I have given you the what this money bill is about. And this direct tax Vivad se Vishwas bill was passed by the parliament in March 2020. So guys, this Vivad se Vishwas scheme, sometimes I'm using the word scheme and sometimes I'm saying the act, bill or act. So guys, actually the thing is, this act has already been passed and it is in force, but this implementing of this act is known as scheme. Otherwise both the words are similar. Vivad se Vishwas scheme or Vivad se Vishwas act actually are both the same. We are implementing the act through scheme, so do not get confused. Okay, now this act comes under finance ministry. So a question can be asked that this Vivad se Vishwas scheme is under which of the following ministry? The answer is finance ministry. And the Central Board of Direct Taxes is the authority that is responsible to issue the orders, instruction and direction in regard to the implementation of this act. Okay, so that is about the brief introduction of the Direct Tax Vivad se Vishwas Act 2020. Now guys, coming to the objective part of the scheme. So the objective of this is to reduce income tax pending litigations. So that is, in the first slide you have seen the word dispute. So government is trying to minimize the disputes between the tax authorities and the taxpayer through this act. Secondly, generate timely revenues for the government. When the disputes are settled, you have to pay the tax, you will definitely get the revenue, government will get the revenue. Otherwise, pendency will go on for 5 years, 6 years and so on, and that money will keep on, we can say, accumulating, and you can see 4.8 lakh cases have been pending, which amounts to almost 9 lakh crore. So this is the amount of pendency, and this is really crucial amount, guys. Can help in the growth and development of Indian perspective. So this will help when you settle the dispute. This will generate the revenue for the government. Moreover, guys, through this implementation of this act, this will give impunity from the prosecution. A taxpayer has paid the tax or settled the dispute with the government authority, so now there will be no more prosecution. You are free from all the headaches. You have paid your tax, now no worries. So guys, that was about the objective. One is to reduce the litigation, generate the timely revenue of the government, as well as to provide the prosecution so that the harassment of the taxpayer will not be there in the future. Now coming to the key features of the scheme. So guys, one of the key features of the scheme is the start date. So guys, you want to settle the dispute between the tax authority and the taxpayer. So what the government is doing, government is saying that you must pay the disputed amount of the tax and you will walk free. You do not have to worry about the penalties, interest fee or whatever there is additional amount. You do not have to worry. You just live peacefully. You have paid the tax, that's it. So this is the gist of the Vivad se Vishwas scheme, that you just pay your direct tax, which is the disputed amount, or even in some cases there is some disputed regarding the interest as well as penalty. So we will talk about that. So you are just paying your disputed amount and you are free. So start date of this scheme is actually 17 March 2020. That is the day on which the act is, we can say this scheme was legalized through act. On this date, the bill became act. It got its presidential assent. Now the next is about the payment date. The payment date mentioned here is, guys, the 31st March 2020. So the act came into the force on the start date and the payment date is till 31st March 2020. So from 17 to 31st March you have to pay your disputed liabilities. That is the disputed amount of tax or disputed amount of interest or disputed amount of fee. You have to pay that fee till 31st March 2020 as per the act. Okay. But guys, there is a catch here. Suppose you failed to make the payment by 31st March 2020. So after 31st March, if you pay the disputed amount of tax or the disputed amount of interest or penalty, you have to pay additional 10% over and above the existing liabilities. Okay, but till what date this scheme was in we can say scheme was in force? So guys, the last date is as per notified by the central government. Initially it was for 31st March 2020, then it was suppose if you fail to pay the 31st March, you have to pay till 30th June 2020. But the central government can extend it further. We will check out it when we cover the latest news for our Vivad se Vishwas scheme. Now guys, when I am talking about the two components of disputed liabilities, one was the disputed amount of tax and the other was the disputed amount of penalties or interest. So guys, disputed amount of tax you just have to pay, and there will be no penalty or no, we can say, interest that you have to pay. Just pay the disputed tax and you will free. Now there is disputed interest or penalty. So if there is a dispute on the amount of interest and the penalty, you just pay 25% of your disputed interest or disputed penalty till March 31st, and you are free from all the liabilities. Suppose your disputed amount of interest is 100. Okay, you just pay 25. That's it, more than enough, you are free. Okay, but if you pay after 31st March, the disputed amount of penalty or interest will be rupees 30. Okay, so I hope you now understand the two important components. One is the disputed amount of tax, which you have to pay 100% till 31st March 2020. Otherwise, if you fail to pay till 31st March, if you pay beyond 31st March, you have to pay additional 10%. That means 110% of your disputed amount of tax. But in case of disputed amount of interest or penalty, you have to pay this amount or this amount, keeping in track of your payment date. So I hope you guys understand all the features regarding the start date, payment date, last date, and disputed amount of liability. Now coming to the eligibility, that who is eligible. So guys, eligible, when we are talking about from the where we are from the beginning are talking about the disputes. So when there is a dispute and it is being heard at any of the platforms, suppose at the Commissioner Appeals, at the level of Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, at the Debt Recovery Tribunal, at the High Court or Supreme Court, at any of the platform, whenever there is a hearing regarding the dispute between the tax authority and the taxpayer, and those rates or PILs or whatever that is has been filed before 31st January 2020, that will be eligible to get the benefit under Vivad se Vishwas scheme, VSVS. So the appeals, or we can say the writs that have been pending before these organizations before 31st January are eligible to get the benefit under this Vivad se Vishwas scheme. Now guys, there is one important component here is that disputed amount of tax as well as interest and penalty fee will be settled. But the important catch here is the TCS, that is tax collected at the source, and TDS, that is a tax deducted at source, will also be included in this Vivad se Vishwas scheme. So though you can say, sir, these are kind of indirect tax, but this is a special case because TDS and TCS are also applied on your income tax, and income tax is a direct tax. So do not forget that TDS or TCS on income tax, a dispute arising due to these two will also be included in this law. Okay, so all the appeals that have been pending before these forums, as well as the disputed amount of tax, interest, penalties arising due to TCS as well as TDS is also included. So guys, that is about the key features. Now when we are talking about the eligibility or who are eligible to get the benefits, we need to understand who are excluded from these benefits. Not the benefits, but yeah, the exclusion list includes, guys, if the disputed amount of tax is above 5 crore, then you are automatically excluded. You cannot avail the benefits that you must pay your disputed amount of tax through this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. So if your tax liability is more than 5 crore or disputed amount of tax is more than 5 crore, you cannot avail. Okay, then if a prosecution has been initiated against you, you cannot avail the benefits of Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. If there is a case that involves foreign income and assets, then you are not eligible. Moreover, guys, there are cases regarding the Benami Transaction Act, unlawful activities, narcotics, corruption, smuggling, and the money laundering. So the cases that are covered under these separate acts will not be eligible to get the benefit of this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. So guys, I hope you understand the eligibility as well as the exclusion list. Guys, question can be asked on this point. Okay, so we need to remember the facts we mentioned here. Even on these points, questions can be framed for the phase 2 point of view. So do not forget the important points are mentioned here. Now guys, there is an immunity. We are talking from the beginning that will be an immunity. You just pay your tax and you are free from all your liabilities. So this is mentioned here. No one can harass you after this. You just paid your tax and now you are free. So no appellate forum can make a decision in relation to the matter of dispute once it is resolved. So once your dispute between the tax authorities and taxpayer is resolved, you cannot appeal anywhere. Okay, provided one exception is here, that if you provide false information regarding your tax disputes, then the cases can be reopened. Okay, or if you violate any of the provision of Income Tax Act, then also the cases can be reopened. Okay, so you are getting the immunity provided you are honest and not violating any of the provision of Income Tax Act 1961. So guys, that was about the static part of the scheme. Now we talk about the dynamic part, or we can say the scheme, or the uses that are covering the scheme. We can say the scheme coming into the latest news. Okay, so the first point is, guys, mentioned here is 31st December 2020. So guys, this is the date, or we can say this is the payment date or the last date as per the latest notification of the government. So government has extended the payment date till, or last date till 31st December 2020. So the benefits of this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme are extended till 31st December. After that, as per the recent notification, after that you cannot pay your tax dispute through this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. Okay. Now guys, there was a news that 35,000 taxpayers opt for scheme till September 8th, 2020. So guys, these kinds of facts can be asked in the phase 2 of our exam. Moreover, the revenue generated till that date was rupees 7538 crore, almost 10,000 crore. So you can see the impact of this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. Now guys, there is also a recent data which we have compiled from November 2020, that the central government has received so far almost 72,480 crores from 45,855 cases. So guys, these figures can be asked in the phase 2 of our exam, that as the amount settled within the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme as per the latest data is this amount. So guys, you might be saying that, sir, this is a black and white scheme. You are converting the black money into the white. Basically, you are not doing that. There was a dispute between the tax authorities and the taxpayer. So you are settling that regardless of the penalties and interest. You are not going into that much. You are just saying pay your tax or the dispute regarding your interest or penalty, and that is enough. You are free from any other liability. Okay guys, so I hope now you understand what this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme is all about. So guys, now it's time to revise the scheme through some MCQs. Now the first question is about the launching year of the scheme, guys. That is the current year. It is very important. Sorry, scheme, I think there is some problem, guys. It is actually, the launching year is 2020. I think mentioning about the scheme comes under which ministry. So the ministry involved is Finance Ministry. Okay, it is actually asking about the launching year. So launching year is 2020. Now implementing agency CBDT. CBDT will give all the orders, direction regarding the implementation of the scheme, Vivad se Vishwas scheme. Now, as per the Finance Ministry, number of direct cases pending. If you analyze the first slide that we have mentioned here, that before the launching of this scheme, the number of pending cases were 4.83 lakhs. So guys, question, though chances are less because it's an old data and now the scheme has launched. So now almost 45,000 cases have been settled till November. We have just seen it in the previous slide. So we can say the number will change. But yeah, whenever it changes, we need to refer the current affairs. So guys, the payment date without the penalty is 31st March 2020. If you remember that if you pay after 31st March, you have to pay additional amount of 10% in case of disputed tax. Okay. Then is disputed tax related to TCS and TDS is included? Yes, it is included. We have already discussed under the eligibility criteria. Now exclusion limit under the scheme if amount involved is more than 5 crore. This is an important fact, guys. The question can be framed on this point. Now the amount received under the scheme as per the latest data. As per the latest data, guys, the amount received is 72,480. Guys, my point here regarding this question is that suppose in December or in January 2021, this amount increased to almost 1 lakh. So you need to refer that figure. Just refer the latest data before your exam because that is what is important. Okay, I am mentioning the questions that can be framed from this news. Just refer the types of questions that can be framed from news and refer the latest data. Okay, because we are covering this news today and maybe after 2-3 days there will be some analysis regarding or some analysis report regarding consisting a lot of data regarding this Vivad se Vishwas scheme. So there might be some changes. Okay. Now the disputed penalty, interest and fee to be paid. 25% if you pay before 31st March and if you pay after 31st March you have to pay 30% of your disputed interest or your disputed penalty. So guys, don't get confused. I am repeating it again. If you are talking about the disputed amount of tax, you have to pay 100% till 31st March. And if you are talking about disputed tax if you are paying the disputed tax after 31st March, then it will be 110%. Okay. And in case of disputed amount of penalties or interest, it will be 25% of the total disputed amount of penalty. Okay. And 25% will be if you pay before 31st March. And if you pay disputed amount of penalty after 31st, then it will be 30%. So guys, don't get confused regarding these facts because these are a little bit confusing. Okay, I have mentioned the two components, one about the tax and one about the penalty. Now guys, there is disputed tax paid before 31st March, 100% with waiver on penalty. That means if you pay the disputed amount of tax before 31st March, you have to pay 100% of, you just pay 100% of that and the entire penalty or interest on that amount will be waived off. Okay, suppose your disputed amount is 100 and the penalty is coming out to be 20 because of the delay or whatever the reason. So your total liability is coming around 120. But what this Vivad se Vishwas scheme is doing, you just pay the disputed amount of tax and that's it. We will waive off your penalty. So this is the gist of the entire Vivad se Vishwas scheme. Okay. Now the last question is, guys, that the penalty on payment after 31st March in case of disputed tax, the answer is 10%. So guys, I hope you understand this Vivad se Vishwas scheme. I tried to cover it in different perspectives through some easy examples as well as we can say easy language. But guys, there are chances, or we can say that there are high chances that the question can be framed on this special scheme, and especially considering the latest current affairs. So do not miss the changes that will be brought up in this scheme just before your exam, and in the meantime, okay, we are completing this video today, and there might be chances that some update will come in the month of January or by mid-December. So please refer all the latest data. So guys, we have covered the Vivad se Vishwas scheme in entirety. Now it's time for a homework question. So guys, from now on I will be giving you a homework question, the answer of which you can mention in our comment section over the YouTube. So guys, today's question will be, which authority to make rules for carrying out provisions of this scheme, that is the Vivad se Vishwas scheme. So which is the authority who is responsible for making the rules for carrying out provisions of this scheme? Guys, if you analyze our key feature slide, you will get the answer to this question easily. Okay, it is slightly confusing, but and that's why I mentioned here, you need, please try to answer this question. We will post the correct answer in the comment section. Okay, so no worries, we will cover this point, but it's for you. First you will comment, and then we will give the right answer. So this is a homework for your homework for you. So guys, if you like our video, please share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and do give a thumbs up. So guys, that's all from my side. I'm your mentor Veer, now signing off.